Hello guys, I'm Fizzy and welcome to another car testing video on F1 2014, where I do a lap in all of the game's 11 cars, comparing lap times, top speeds, handling and whatever else I might end up noticing. This comparison is slightly different compared to the previous two I've done, as we are now at one of the most high-speed circuits in the game, Autodromo Nazionale Monza, as the Italians probably call it. And unlike in the previous videos where I've used a default car setup, I'm now going to be using the full dry engineer setup for all the cars. So in this comparison we'll be reaching much higher top speeds compared to the previous videos. And good straight line speed is of course more crucial to the overall lap time around here as well, so we'll see if that makes any kind of difference to the pecking order in terms of the cars. And finally, another difference to notice compared to the previous comparisons is that I'm doing these in reverse order. Instead of starting with the slowest car, I'm now starting with a Mercedes and going through the cars from fastest to slowest based on the order we got from the Catalonia test. That way, if the fastest lap is indeed in the Mercedes, as I expect it to be, despite driving that with the least amount of experience around the track, the split times during the remaining laps will then all be in comparison to the Mercedes. As you can see there, the top speed is measured by the highest speed we reach on the main straight before braking for turn 1. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the laps, and once again there will be time frame links in the description if you want to skip to the lap of a specific car. And before you all skip to around 5:30 and see the Williams livery with a red stripe on it, I have to point out before you all get excited and go out celebrating that that is actually an independent mod for the PC version of the game, which is what this is, and not actually an official update to the game. Just in case there was going to be any sort of confusion around that. But yeah, enjoy the laps and I'll see you for a summary at the end of the video. So yeah, here we have the overview of each car's lap time around Monza, listed from fastest to slowest. And as you'd expect, of course, Mercedes still the dominant car up front, but not as dominant as we've seen in the previous comparisons. And that could be because Mercedes is actually not the car that is best on straight line speed in the game. As you can see from the top speeds there, Ferrari and McLaren especially are a little bit quicker on the straights, and Williams as well, marginally quicker. So for me, those three cars were all within 2 or 3 tenths of the Mercedes, because as we know, top speed is absolutely crucial on this track, even though the Mercedes is still handling better than the Ferrari, the Williams and the McLaren. But the car that I feel handles pretty much similarly well to the Mercedes is the Red Bull, but in the pecking order around here, the Red Bull time was only 5th fastest. I mean, there's probably still a bit of time to find in that Red Bull, but the same can be said for all the other cars as well. So the Red Bull is clearly losing out around here by having that Renault engine, giving it a significantly lower top speed compared to the 4 cars above it. But still, the top 4 cars are relatively closely matched on pace, and the Force India not too shabby around here either. Obviously, again, clearly the slowest of the Mercedes-powered cars, but my Force India lap time was only 5 tenths away from the Red Bull. But then, as has been the case in the previous comparisons as well, there's pretty much a 1 second gap then, down to Sauber and Toro Rosso from Force India. I found Sauber to actually be slightly quicker than Toro Rosso around there, and that is probably because the Sauber has a little bit more straight line speed compared to the Toro Rosso, even though the Toro Rosso handles slightly better still. And then Lotus down there ranked in 9th once again is just, it's just such a dog of a car. I just find it really, really bad to drive. Not only has it got poor top speed, but it handles like an elephant as well. And round here it was only 5.5 tenths ahead of the Marussia, which was again a 10.5 ahead of the Caterham. But interestingly, the total gap from the fastest car to the slowest, only 3.6 seconds compared to the like 5.6 that we had in Catalonia, which considering this is Monza probably shows that the cars are closer on top speeds than they are on actual handling. So yeah, just some interesting points there again with regards to how the cars stack up on this game. I'm actually still intending to do a career mode on this game in hopefully the not too distant future, but I'm yet to decide what team I really want to run with, so feel free to leave me suggestions in the comments about what team you would like to see me pick for a potential career mode series. So yeah, that's all I have to say for now really. Thank you very much for watching and for listening, and I will see you guys later.